Well, certainly, Nompu, and the media briefing is just an indication of the unity that exists between this current coalition. You would have seen Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi was present at the swearing-in ceremony as well as the media briefing, here to show support, his support and the party's support to the incoming mayor. We also saw Al Jama's leader also coming in to show support to Thapelo Amad. Speaking here, he really spoke about the comments that have been made by many on social media regarding Thapelo Amad's election as Johannesburg mayor, some insisting that he should voluntarily resign from the position. And what you would have heard from that briefing is a lot of support coming from the two parties, saying that whatever happens outside of, service delivery is just a noise, and that he knows that he needs to deliver services to the residents, and that's what he will then need to focus his attention on, and not focus his attention on what is being said. You will understand that, you will know that there is a cartoon of Thapelo Amad with chains around him. He's being accused of being a proxy for the ANC as well as the EFF. We saw Al Jama leader also just dismissing all of those allegations, saying that the only chain that he sees is the mayoral chain on Thapelo Amad's shoulders or around his neck. And as you know, he has been sworn in as the City of Johannesburg executive mayor. Now, he spoke about one of the items that he will have to then tick off on his to-do list as he walks into his new position. And one of those is that 2 billion rand loan from the Development Bank of South Africa. You will remember that motion and that request, which was brought initially by the Democratic Alliance under the leadership of the former mayor, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, was defeated on 2 occasions. On Friday, they were asked why it is that they defeated that motion and voted against that particular request. And what we heard from the coalition members was that because the former mayor had painted a rosy picture of the city's finances, and they accuse her of not being honest with Johannesburg residents and council on the city's financial position. We heard today Panyaza Lesufi, Gauteng Premier, talking about the fact that the city of Johannesburg only has 6 million rand, which is barely enough to enable the city to honor its obligation, saying that that is very little. A city like the city of Johannesburg should at least have around 6 billion rand in its coffers in order to honor all of its obligations. He was really just echoing sentiments that were expressed by the ANC's Dada Morero just last week. So we now know that that loan application will be approved in council, given that they have the numbers to vote for that loan application to be approved in council. But we will remember that last year we heard from minority parties who expressed unhappiness over the terms of that loan agreement, and they had used this as a reason for not supporting the loan application. We did try to ask if they would then try to renegotiate those terms. At the time, they had brought up the issue of the loan being connected to the JIBA, saying that it is a very volatile currency, and that maybe a more favorable interest rate could have been negotiated, and maybe they would have considered supporting the application if a better and more favorable interest rate had been considered or negotiated. So that's what we've heard so far. We've also heard that service delivery will be this coalition's #1 priority, also talking about the water issues and blaming really the water issues on aging infrastructure, also talking about unclogging those water drainage systems in many of Johannesburg's streets. You will remember the floods in Soweto. A lot of them really happened in places where the drainage systems, the water drainage systems, were seemingly blocked, which made it easy for certain parts of Soweto Soweto to start flooding when we saw those heavy rains in December. But it seems as though the coalition partners are happy with the mayoral candidate who has been sworn in today, and it's all systems go, and we wait to see that the approval of that 2 billion loan. I just want to, before I let you go and hand back to you in studio, we also need to bear in mind that the Premier did also allude to the fact that the city's vehicles have been attached so far, and he's using this analogy as proof of the city's financial woes. As you know, the former mayor, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, did say that the city's finances were not at a crisis proportion and that they were able to meet their monthly obligations. But if that is true, that cars were being attached, it then paints a completely different picture of the city's finances. We heard the mayor also talking about inheriting a city that is in almost financial ruin, and there's a dire need to try and resolve that challenge in the city of Johannesburg as a matter of urgency.